Hey everyone, thank you all for joining today. I'm Leo, I'm the developer of AbleSet, and we're hosting a live stream together today with Karan from Enable. Maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, hey guys, my name's Karan. Maybe you already see my face on the AbleSet channel in the past few days. We did a little collaboration with Leo. I'm from Enable, which is a company running playback systems, building playback systems, helping people build Ableton sessions and stuff. And me and my friend Chris, we're two guys running Enable. He's in the chat with you guys. You'll see our little account, checking your comments, and he'll be forwarding questions to us. So really happy to be here. Really happy to be talking about AbleSet 3.
Cool, nice. All right. If you have any questions, just put them in the live stream chat. That's cool. We'll try to get to them eventually. And after diving into the canvas, we'll also do like a dedicated questions and answers round. So I will start with some features that I didn't have time to put into the introduction video, but that I find very helpful as well. So let me just share my screen here.
Leo, just a quick thing. Chris is just telling me that your mic's a bit loud, so if you could just turn out.
All right.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd stop you before you get going. Yeah, but sorry, didn't want to interrupt. Yeah.
No, that's
cool.
Good. Chris, is that better?
Yep. I think it. Yeah, you get going. I think I'll also turn myself up a little bit, so I'll meet you in the middle.
Perfect. All right, so let's get started with the setlist editor maybe. There's some features in there that I didn't show in the introduction video, and one of them is fairly simple, but I think it's super useful, which is the ability to copy and paste the entire setlist to your clipboard. So let me just open a notes window here, and if I wanted to copy the entire setlist, I'll just press Command-C. You'll see that it gets copied to the clipboard. Now I can paste it here. So this is a super simple way if you want to share the setlist with your band members, for example, or you just want to save them for yourself. But the nice thing is this also works the other way around. So for example, let me just take out a few songs here. Maybe put this song at the beginning. I can just copy this and paste it back in, and there we go. Now it's imported back into the setlist editor. So this might be interesting if you decide on a setlist in a group chat or something, you just want to quickly copy it over into the setlist editor, or you have a tour manager who makes a setlist PDF and you just want to copy it out of there into your own setlist. All right, the next thing is stop descriptions between songs. So sometimes between a song, you might want to do something specific on stage, like address the audience, for example, or you might have to tune a guitar or something. And AbleSet 3 now allows you to make a note of that, or for that. And you can do that with songs that have a stop, which is this one in this set list. To do that, just click these three little dots and add a stop description. So we can do something like address audience, or announce album release, or something like that. And you see that these get added to the setlist as kind of lines between the songs. They're not actually songs, you can't click on them, but it's a nice way to just add like little notes to yourself. The next feature that might be helpful is the ability to add preset delays between songs. So to do that, this works with songs that don't have a stop marker. You can just click the three dots as well, and then just add a delay after the song. So I could say, after this song, I want to have a delay of 10 seconds before AbleSet starts the next song. So let's see how that looks. I'm just going to go to the end of this song, and there we go. So now we are reaching the end of the song, and you can see, even though we're very close to the end of the song, we still have 14 seconds left. That's because we have the 10-second delay in there as well, in addition to the 4 seconds of the song. So let's start playback. So the song ends, Now AbleSet jumps to the next song and starts a countdown, which is also included in the remaining setlist duration, by the way. And then after 10 seconds, it automatically starts the next song. All right. And then another quick one, that's also something that some of you have asked beforehand. If it's possible to jump by bars, and this is now also possible with AbleSet 3. You can just go to the setlist settings and then enable show bar jump buttons. And this allows you, even while playing, to just jump forward a few bars. Oh. Or maybe not. Oh, that's a different feature. 1 second. All right. This is all live, as you can see. Some things might go wrong. So, if you have a measures track, you can jump forward and backward by measures, which is something I wanted to show you later, actually. But this is also a nice way to jump around in your set. So I could go to roads, for example, and then I can just jump ahead a few measures. But if you don't have that and you're currently playing, you can jump by bars. So that looks like this. You can just jump ahead without actually interrupting playback. This also works for jumping by beats, although currently this is only possible using OSC. So for example, if the band manages to get off the click by 1 beat, you can just adjust the playback to line up with the band again. Yeah, so these are some of the little features that I just wanted to highlight because they weren't big enough to show in the introduction video, but still I think that they're worth just mentioning. For the next part, we're going to build a canvas, and Karan and I are both going to build one. The one that I'll build is this one, which is a very simple one, just consisting of pre-existing modules, basically. To get started, I will just create a new canvas. This canvas is currently untitled. I'll just call it my canvas. And now we can start adding elements. Let's start from the top to the bottom. So I want to add a song progress bar. We had it at the top here. I'm gonna make it a bit larger. There's 2 options. You can either have it pill-shaped like this, or you can have it a bit more square. I prefer the square option for now. And you can also show the section names. Next, let me add an image. I have already added an image to my resources folder in the canvas folder. But if I didn't have that, I could just drag an image into the canvas and add it like that. But I still have it in here, so I can just select it. I'll make that a bit smaller and put this here. There we go. Maybe I'll add a bit of padding around it. There we go. Next, let's add the setlist. I'll make it a bit smaller. The setlist doesn't really have any settings. It just shows the setlist exactly as you would see it in the setlist view. Then let me add the lyrics. And the lyrics element has some settings, and one of them is the lyrics track that you would like to see. In my case, that's my own track. And let me just jump to a song that actually has lyrics. This looks better. And by the way, if you want to interact with elements while in the canvas editor, you can just hold down the command key. That allows you to click buttons and do stuff without actually moving the elements, for example. Next up, I will add a slider. Oh, that's not the right one. I'll add a preset slider. We'll get to the other kinds of sliders later. But let's start with a click volume slider. I will make this horizontal. Just put it here. Make it a bit larger. And then let's add a play stop button. Make this one a bit smaller. And also a loop button. And by the way, you could click this icon to add more elements, but I prefer using Command K. It's just a bit faster. So let's make this one a bit smaller. And there you go. That's already a usable canvas. We can press this little eye icon up here. And now we can use it. We can start playback by clicking this icon. There we go. We can jump to new songs, we can jump to sections, we can scroll around the lyrics, we can jump to parts in the lyrics. So yeah, all looks good. Oh, and I just saw that my click track is soloed. I was wondering why I didn't hear any music. There we go. And now I can also adjust the volume of the click track, and you can see that on the right side of the screen, and I can also demonstrate it while playing. And that just accesses the mixer feature. One small thing that I wanted to highlight as well, if you don't want to see these little icons up here while moving the mouse, you can disable these. And you also get like a little notification just showing you that you should press or hold the command key to show these buttons again. Okay, got it? So now there are no distractions, basically. Like I could make this full screen, and there's no way to get out of it unless you hold the command button or press the command button, and then you can go back to editing your canvas. All right.
That's also really cool. Sorry, they were just adding to that.
Yeah,
because
sure.
One thing I'm thinking about is with Canvas, because you can like make really large buttons and give people just only limited control of what they can do. That's a really cool thing, that you can hide the edit and close button. So if I give my singer a thing with just like just the lyrics and one button that triggers a message that says, hey, I need some water or whatever, then I can't have that person messing with the other things in AbleSet. And I think on tablets, the best way to get out of it is probably to even go into the URL bar, right? On like, if you don't have a keyboard.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah. That's a good point. And for now, that's my part of the demonstration. Maybe we can switch over to your screen and the canvas that you built in your tutorial series, which also big shout out to to the videos you made. It's amazing how much really good content you created. All right,
thanks so much. We enjoyed it.
Likewise.
Yes. Okay. I just got we've got Chris in the chat telling me to turn myself up. I think you're still a little bit too loud, but I think we're getting there.
Too loud. All right. I'll turn myself down a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So once I'm in here, you can kind of so basically I've got right now something similar set up to Leo. If you've seen the video on like the Canvas tutorial, you're gonna know where this is gonna go, but I'm gonna keep it exciting for anyone who hasn't seen the video yet. But one cool thing that I wanted to also highlight with the setlist element that I also found out by chance only is if I actually go into the Canvas, all the keyboard shortcuts that you know from setlist view also work in the canvas. So I can, left and right arrow to go back and forth between songs, down arrow, up arrow to go back and forth between sections. Obviously, spacebar. Are you guys hearing that music? Is that coming through? Perfect. Cool. So spacebar for start stop. And then one thing I just tried out because you talked about it, Leo, shift and left right buttons to go back and forth between bars, which is really cool. Yeah. So shift left or shift right arrow will actually allow you to navigate in bars if you just, So that's jumping back and forth. That's a really cool thing, and it's kind of hidden. And another thing that I wanted to kind of show, which I found out because I've been using the Canvas for a few weeks already now, and I've already used it on a few gigs. And I was actually editing a Canvas while the band was rehearsing. And the cool thing is how it auto-updates. So this is the edit view of the canvas that I have right now. On this other screen, I've got the same canvas opened, right? So this is the exact same canvas, just two different AbleSet windows. If I now go ahead and I drag something over there, then that's already auto-updated over there, which is kind of cool. So you can actually edit canvases on the fly, and I've done that, and it's fun. So you're like, the one moment the drummer's watching his drums, and then he's looking over, and something cool has happened on his screen.
That's awesome.
So that's just a few things I wanted to point out. Also, messing around with different sizes in Canvas is kind of cool. obviously tailoring them to whatever device you're using, but I also, just as a little sneak peek, we'll look into this later, I set up a little auto-tune canvas, which is just, so it shows me my key and the bypass state of my auto-tune plugin, and then I've kind of shaped it to just be this 2:1 ratio, so you can, however you want to use it, get really creative. But let's dive in. Let's look at what we're actually going to do here. So as you saw, Leo already added some element presets for buttons specifically. So the play button and the loop pause button, right? And once again, if you press Command K and scroll down, you'll find those, or you can search for those, which is cool. But the cool thing is that they're actually really customizable, these buttons. So we can do a lot of stuff, and that's where Canvas, in my opinion, really unfolds its like full potential. So at the end of the day, how you're going to do that is by modifying the OSC that the buttons are sending. Right now, these buttons, if you click into them and if you check the settings, you're going to see this OSC command on press. Now, if you don't know what OSC means without going too much into it and without getting too technical, it's basically a network messaging protocol, and it's in pro audio and pro lighting spaces, like different devices can speak to each other. And the cool thing, or actually the quirk, I guess, and Leo, correct me on this because you have obviously more technical knowledge, but the quirk is that if you have an app or a device that implements OSC, you also have to implement all the messages that it can receive and all the things that it can react to. So since Leo has gone through the work and done that for AbleSet, we actually, using OSC, get a lot of control over a lot of things that we couldn't access, or we had to go through more trouble to access otherwise. Let me just show you what that means, right? So basically, as I told you, these buttons already have this OSC message, which corresponds to toggling on and off the loop, or which corresponds to starting playback or stopping playback, pre-configured right in there. But if we want to build our own button, we can basically modify this OSC message, right? So to do that, I'm just going to copy the button over here. And obviously I want to now build a button where I can maybe jump to the next song, because right now I've only got play, stop, and looping. So I kind of want to have this be a bit more, I guess, flexible. At the end of the day, the OSC message for jumping to the next song, I've already got that jotted down over here. It looks something like this. So I could just copy that out and paste it in there. And if I now press this button, you'll see that it's actually jumping forwards by a song, right? So I obviously had that already prepared, but the cool thing is if you're working in the canvas and you want to kind of check out what OSC messages there are, you can just start by typing a / and then all of these different options will appear. And then you can kind of look through them. There's also an entire list in the documents, right, Leo? So people can go really deep. But the cool thing is that this also has quite good autocomplete, right? So once again, the message that I just use is setlist jump by songs. But if I know I want to do something to do with jumping and I want to do something to do with songs, I can just say jump songs and it'll just recommend that one to me. And so at the end of the day, this also tells you a little bit of what the OSC message does. And it has this little parameter over here called steps. So I can actually go in. You'll see that once I added that, it automatically added one step. That means it's going to jump forward by one song, right? But I could go in and make that 2. So if I click a song and I press this button, it's actually jumped to this song. So it's actually skipped one song. And so that's how you modify the behavior of it. And this is exactly what I mean is, obviously, before in Setlist View, we had a next song button, a previous song button, but now we can get really customized with it. I don't know why you would want to jump 2 songs at a time, but you can if you want, right? Okay, but moving on. So obviously, let me put this back to 1. So this is the OSC message that we want to send to jump forwards one song. Now, obviously, this button still looks like a loop button, so we want to make it look a little different. What I can do now is I can actually delete this icon, right? So now that's gone. And I can now add another one, and I get this entire list, and luckily it's searchable. So I'm just going to go with arrow, and then I'm going to write down, and I'll choose this arrow right here. And then I maybe also want to set a different color. I'm just going to switch off this dynamic toggle for now. I'm going to come back to what that means. But yeah, this defaulted to the gray color, which kind of works really well for my case. So now I have a button which goes down songs, and it's doing exactly what I want it to do, right? Okay, so moving on, let's make another button which jumps back up. Now, the cool thing is we can also add negative numbers in here. So by saying -1, I'm going up a song, right? And so that's our jump back button. Let's modify this icon to reflect that as well. I'm just going to use the corresponding button right there. Cool. And that's looking really good. So I can go down and I can go up. And this is kind of fun because if you know setlist view, then you might have already gotten used to these buttons being, facing right and left. But in setlist view, it actually goes down, right, moving through your setlist. So this was one thing that I really like to customize. Small little things, but you really get all the control you need. So that's really cool. Okay, so this is how you basically change what the buttons do, and this is pretty basic, right? You know this kind of stuff from setlist view, but there's a lot more advanced stuff that we can do, and we'll get into that in a bit. I'm going to focus on some other stuff for now, just showing you what else you can do with buttons, right? So just, again, adding a bit more visual indication, I could add a label to this. So I'll name this, not next, there we go, next. But that's a bit large, so I can't see my icon anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this font a little smaller, maybe make it bold, so it looks a bit, it's a bit better, gives me a bit better readability. Over here, I'll do the same thing, but I'll say previous, right? Cool. Okay, so this works. Everything working as it should. But the cool thing actually is what we can do with buttons, not only with buttons, but actually all, or I'm going to say most elements in the canvas feature is have them adapt dynamically. And this can be especially useful because then you can have certain visual feedbacks for what you're doing here and really customize what you're seeing and get the information that you want to have, right? One example that's already pre-programmed into one of the element presets is, for instance, in the loop button, you'll see that if I press the loop button, it kind of changes its color a little bit. Did you see that? Yeah. So basically, you're going to see the loop is going to be active. If I activate the loop on the chorus, it changes the shade of blue, essentially. And you can kind of modify how this behaves and create different behaviors depending on your liking, right? And where you would do that is, remember when we changed the background color on this next button down here, and I took away the dynamic toggle. If I now go into the loop button, you'll see that that is active. And essentially what we're seeing here is that the color is being tied to a condition. And this is with the help of what we call templating. At the end of the day, this is just what's happening in these curly braces, and after this $sign is just JavaScript code, correct, Leo?
Yes. Yeah, that's just
cool. just checking with the Programming Pro to make sure I don't spread wrong information. But honestly, this can be pretty basic. Even if you don't know any programming, I'd still encourage you to work with this and try out some stuff with basic templating, right? So essentially, what we're seeing here is this right here is a condition, and this is the value that the background color will have if the condition is true, and this is the value that the background color will have if the condition is I clicked that by mistake. Right. So it's basically checking to see if the loop in our playback session is enabled, and if that's the case, I get this blue shade, and if not, I get this other blue shade, right? And that's how it's achieving this. Now, the customization that I was talking about is what you can get if you actually go in and modify some of this stuff. So I could, for instance, say that, both of these are blue shades, and maybe I want something a bit more obvious to see at a glance what's happening. So I could go in and say, okay, actually, if the loop is on, I want blue. That works. But if the loop is off, I'd actually prefer it to be black, right? And as you can see now, the loop is off, and the button is now black, and the change is obviously now a lot more obvious. And this is reflecting basically the loop state of your entire AbleSet, right? So you can see that the loop is off right now. If I go into setlist view and I switch it on, I go back into the canvas, you'll see that it has reflected that, right? So it's adapting dynamically. And again, go through the options here and explore. Like you could do whatever you like with it, even like say, let me put yellow and then gray, and then it kind of looks like, it kind of looks like the loop button that you've got in Ableton, right? Which is also a nice look.
And
so similar thing. Sorry.
One thing to highlight is also that you get autocomplete there as well, right? So if you start typing some colors, you get a list of colors with some previews that you can use. Yeah,
for sure. So the best thing to explore this is actually to just have these parentheses right here, and then you can type any color like gray, and then it'll even autocomplete the different shades, right? So I could have this shade of gray if I wanted to, this lighter gray. Right. So again, similar thing with the play stop button. If I wanted it to be like, personally, I preferred my stop button to be red. So if I just go in here, I'm playing back now. Oh, actually, let me talk about this a little bit. This is a bit confusing, so you have to kind of look at these conditions a bit more properly, right? So right now the condition is whether it is playing, right? So it's checking whether it's playing, and if it's playing back, the shade is this lighter green, and if it's not playing back, it's this darker green, right? And if it is playing back, I want it to be red because that's when it's showing the stop button, right? So once again, it's green now. If I go in here again, changes this to red. Now I press play, and our stop button has become red, right? So that's how we can kind of customize how this looks, how this behaves. Sorry, I forgot to make this one bold. It's been bugging me.
That's important, yes. Needs to be consistent.
Yeah. Wait, where is it? The formatting. There. Cool. So that's how we can have dynamic colors, right? And we can adapt them to what we want to see. But basically, we can also do this not only with colors, we can also do this with icons, and we can also do this with labels. For instance, you'll see that this is already happening with the play icon. So wait, this is where I kind of prepared this. So it's going to make a bit more sense. So yeah, this is again the format of the template that's happening. You have a condition and a question mark, and then a true value, and then a false value. So right now, the icon is dynamic by checking whether playback is active. And if playback is active, this is kind of a little bit counterintuitive. So if playback is active, I want the stop button to show, right? And if playback is not active, I want the play button to show. And this is the icon. This is the name of the stop icon, and this is the name of the play icon, right? So again, I could go in, take this out, and then I have this, then I have this not filled stop button, right? So again, go in there, it has autocomplete, it shows you everything that, every icon that's available, basically, and you can get really creative with it. And then finally, the next thing I kind of wanted to show you is how you can have also labels be dynamic, right? So what I want to happen with this button is obviously if I click into my last song, I still get this option to click on next, right? It's still showing me next, but that doesn't really make sense because there's no way to go. I can't go further downwards, right? So ideally what I wanted to happen is that this next label, I want that to disappear once I reach the end of the set list, right? And essentially how I can do that is, again, if I look at this condition, we're going to now build a template from the bottom up, right? So if I go in here, and sorry, I lost that there for a second. Right, I removed the label, then I go back in and I type $, swirly braces, and then now I need to type my condition, right? So the condition that we used in the other options was basically, it was always checking for an OSC value. So AbleSet also has, basically, it offers OSC values that can be, I guess, read, or I don't know what the right term would be, but that can be checked.
Yeah.
A bit accessed, exactly. Yeah, so essentially we're going to search for an OSC value that will give us an indication about whether there is another song after the song we're currently on or not. So we kind of want to use that to find out whether we're currently on the last song, right? So I'm going to just start by typing OSC, right? Again, down here, if you have OSC and templating, you have to type OSC and then parentheses and then in there, you got quotation marks, right? And that's where you're going to place your OSC address. So again, if I type / here, I get a lot of recommendations, I guess, and autocomplete options. So at the end of the day, I want to check whether a next song exists, right? So I'm just going to start typing next song, and I get a few options that are shown to me, but the thing that you're gonna have to kind of pay attention to is if you want this to work, like this condition to work, the value that comes out of this OSC basically needs to be a true or a false value. So it needs to be a yes or a no, so to speak. And if I scroll through this, we're actually getting a preview of all of these values, right? So let's say I choose next song name, and if I go back into my set list and I'm on Lonely Forever and the next song is Permanent Danger, right? So if I go in there now, we can actually, we can actually see that it's recognized that. Now, the way that I can kind of use this to find out whether we're already on the last song is that you'll have noticed that if I'm on the last song, this next song name will actually be null, which is used in programming if a value doesn't have, or if a variable doesn't have a value, right? So essentially, I want to say, okay, if this next song is not null, so if the next song exists, I want my next text to appear. But if this value is actually null, and I do not have a next song, I would want this to be empty, right? So again, condition, true value, false value. If the next song exists, show me next on the button. If it doesn't exist, do not show me anything, right? And you'll see that if I am in any other song than the last song, I get this next button, and if I'm on the last song, it disappears, showing me that I'm actually at the end of the set. So this is how you can get kind of creative and funky with templating and, yeah, just making things adapt to what you need them to.
If I might jump in just for a second, there's a concept of like falsy values, which is not quite false, but they are interpreted as false, and values like 0 or null count as that as well. So you could just remove the is not equal null, and that condition would still work. So this is the more verbose way of writing it. But if you want it a bit more like simplified, you could just write if like OSC and then so just removing that, like exactly that. Yeah, that works as well. Okay,
cool. See, I didn't even know that. Okay, that makes it so much easier to read. Okay, right. Falsy, I understand, right? Okay,
yes.
So it's good.
Not quite false, but yeah.
Leo as a programming pro over here. Just a quick one where we can kind of also use this again is to apply it to our icon. To actually use a template for our icon, we have to press this little blue code button over here. And I've just copied this from the label, right? So we're checking for the same condition, but in these quotation marks, we now have to put the icons that we want to see, right? So I had the kind of big down-filled arrow icon before, and then if you've seen the tutorial, I actually used this kind of bar icon showing me that there's nowhere to go, right? So if I go back up, you see the icon has changed and the button is now saying next. So that's some of the really cool stuff you can do with templating. I don't know, I think I'm going to hand it back to you, Leo, now to show us some more stuff that one can do with templating, because it goes a lot deeper than what I've just shown you.
Yeah, sure. Let me just share my screen again. All right. I've built some other templates that we could take a look at later, but I just want to start with a very simple thing, which is the label field, because it looks very simple. It doesn't have a lot of settings, but it can be very powerful, because this label that you can set, oops, there we go. This label that you can set can also be set using templating. So we can access some OSC values from here. And this could be something very simple, like let's take the active song name. Where is it? There we go. Could be something like this. We can also combine templates, like we could write something in front of it. So current song, for example, I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Current song wrote, in this case. Or we could do something like we have this current song and then we want to display the next song right next to it. Wait 1 second. I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. And then I'm going to use the next song name. So now we have wrote and then the arrow to gone. You can give it a nice background color. So you have like a little, just an area that shows you the current song and the next song. And that also works with other things as well. Now, there's some variables that aren't set by AbleSet itself, but that you can set yourself. And these work, there's two types of them. I'm going to start at the beginning. There's local variables and global variables. Local variables are basically contained within a single canvas or within a single browser. That would make more sense. And shared variables are shared between all connected devices. So that might be browsers or maybe also other OSC things, like Touch OSC if you want to use that. So one of the things that we could do, for example, is... Right, let me think of a good example to do this simply. Let's check out the input field, because that's something that might be interesting. This is basically just a text field. So if I go out of here, I can write some text in it. And I can link this to a local variable. So I can call this message. Now if I start typing in it, you can see that a local variables panel basically appears at the bottom. And this just shows you all the variables that you have available in your current browser. I'm going to make this a bit bigger maybe, so you can see this better. All right. So these variables, we can display those in other places as well by just using, instead of OSC, we can use the local function. So I can write local message, and that displays the current message. I'm not sure if I want to get into scripting yet. Karan, do you think that's a good place to go into this, or do we want to?
I think there's a few things we can do before going into scripting, because it can get really deep.
Yes. Yeah. But maybe. Maybe I'll show another, just a very simple example, or kind of simple example, which is just a clock. There's one function that can be used as well, which is called now. And now this gives you a current timestamp basically, and this refreshes once every second. This isn't very readable, so what we can do is we can wrap this in a new date. Now you get a very long date and time. But we can also format this a bit better, so we can say to locale time string. String. There we go. So this is just a normal available JavaScript object or a JavaScript library. If you want to learn more about this, there's a page on the AbleSet documentation. You can also just Google the date object, for example, to see which functions are available. But this is just one small example that I wanted to show.
Sweet.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of stuff to do there, to explore there. Yeah. Yeah. Should I kind of dive into some mixer related stuff on my end here?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Cool. So basically, next thing I want to do now in this canvas is actually add some mixer controls, right? We had some buttons. I know I've been yapping about buttons for quite a while now, but we had some buttons controlling playback. We're going to build some buttons controlling mixer mutes and solos now. So if you haven't messed around with mixer yet, it's also a new feature in AbleSet. So essentially what I've got a view up here now where I can click on mixer and I get these faders and these mute and solo buttons. And the way that I've made these appear is by adding, by adding this flag over here, so plus G drums, and I get this drum fader, plus G808, and so on. And you'll see that this fader actually changes the level over here, right? And the cool thing is that now I've got this set up, I can actually also use these, or I can modify and change these values in Canvas as well. So what I want to build next is for like my main 3 instrumental groups, build mute and solo buttons. So let's just go ahead and do that. We are already familiar with buttons. Up until now, we've added them from the presets down here, but let's just kind of start from scratch. So I've gone again up here to add a new element, and then I'll choose button. And a default button will look something like this, right? Again, we're back with OSC, and we're using OSC to, do things with our button. Essentially, what I want to use this button for now is I want to toggle the mute on my drum group, right? So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to type / and then mixer, right? We get autocomplete, and then mute is what I want to do. And the cool thing is if I now click on this, it's added the command in there for me, but it's also highlighted the part that I now, as a user, need to modify to make this work, right? So I need to put in my group name, as it says here. And my drum group is actually called drums, right? And then true will actually only switch the mute on, but it won't toggle it. So what I need to do with this is say toggle, right? And if I now just open this back up again, I got my drum group. You can see by clicking this button, I'm toggling on and off the drum mute, right? Okay, so that's pretty cool. We've got the OSC for that working, but obviously we don't want to check Ableton for whether the button is actually active. So again, what we can do here is use templating, but this time interfacing with Mixer OSC, right? So again, what I did in the video, I just named this M, like a mute button on a console, right? Maybe make that bold, so that's a bit more obvious, and I don't need it to be this large. Maybe something like this, right? And now I want to use conditional colors to make this button adapt to show me whether the drums are muted or not, right? So for instance, I want to go in and I'm going to set a dynamic background color. So again, we're going to start typing a template and we're going to check for OSC. And this time, again, I want to go into the mixer and it's already showing me all my groups and all the values that I can access, right? But I know that my drum group is called drums, so I can check this. And I want to know whether my drum group is muted, right? So once again, we're checking whether this condition is true or not. If the drum group is muted, I'd like the background of this to be red, right? And then in the tutorial, if you've seen that, I chose, if the drum group is not muted, I chose white as a color. So once again, look at this. So if the drum group is muted, the background color is going to be red. If it's not muted, it's going to be white. And I can just show you that now. So if I click this button, you'll see that it actually lights up in red like this. And the cool thing is that this reflects the state of the button over there. So you'll see that it's toggling right there. And if I actually go into, let me just put these side by side so you get a better view of this. If I go into Ableton and toggle this button, the button in the canvas will actually reflect it, which is really, really cool and really powerful, right? So this way we've got a button with visual feedback now. So let me just go ahead and customize it further. I can just copy this over. I don't just want dynamic background color. I maybe also want a dynamic text color, right? So let me go in, and now it's looking like this. But this way, the M on the button is kind of not really all that readable. So what I want to do is set this to white, and maybe set the button, if it's unmuted, set the M letter to red, right? So then it looks like this. So this way I still kind of get that red indication, which I know all of us audio people have kind of associated with muting. Yeah, so this way I got this really cool adaptive mute button. You can see here in the back it's working. And actually one thing I noticed after recording the tutorial, that since these borders are quite harsh, I'd actually prefer if the background color would not be white but gray in the off state. So this way I get this really cool look for my mute button, right? Okay, so that's the mute button. We can basically do a similar thing to set up a solo button, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing. So mixer, solo, I'm gonna do drums, and then toggle, and then same thing for the dynamic colors, right? So there we go. I'm going through this quickly because we've already seen that happen, right? And now I'm gonna check whether the drums are soloed. If that's the case, maybe give me a blue color. If it's not, let's stick with the gray we had. Cool. And now we're gonna go back into the text color and do the same thing where it is white while it's soloed and blue while it's unsoloed, right? And now the button is still staying button. So let me put S and make that bold. Make it about the same size so I get that button right there. Okay, and now I've got the same thing set up for my solo button, right? So if I click this, you'll see that in the back here, the drum group in Ableton has actually been soloed, right? And again, this works both ways. So I'm activating the solo in Ableton and my canvas is reflecting it, which is really awesome. Cool. Okay, so that's how that works. But the cool thing we can do with this solo button right now, I was thinking in like a performance scenario, you might not want to leave something soloed by mistake. So another thing that we haven't looked at so far is actually an OSC command on releasing the button, right? So up until now, every time we press the button, a command has been triggered, but actually once you let it go, you can actually trigger another command, and we can use this to have a momentary solo button, right? So what I want to do for that is that when I press the solo button, I don't want it to toggle the solo state, but I want to say that if I press it, I want it to activate it, right? So I could write true, or I could also write 1 in here. And then I'm just going to copy this over to the release, but over here I'm going to say false or 0, whichever you prefer. And now you'll see, or you kind of have to take my word for it, or look at my mouse right here while I click it. If I click this, and now I let go, I've got, right, so it's only working momentarily. Wait, there it is. Okay, yeah, so that's how I've got these buttons set up, and now I can actually, from my canvas, mute the drums and solo the drums right here. Let me just show you how that works, right? So I've got from soloed and muted, so that's really cool. Right, next I'm just gonna go ahead and add some labeling. Leo, you already talked about the label field. I'm just gonna use it in a really simple way, just to kind of tell me that this is for the drums, right? And then another thing that we have is actually called a panel, which is basically just a background area. We can use it for coloring and just, mark in an area like this. And this is automatically nicely placed behind my controls, right? So I got this nice little UI for controlling my drum group. Yeah, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and copy all of this and make another one for my 808 group. So yeah, basically go ahead, rename this 808, maybe change the color to be something, I don't know, if is green for bass, is green for 808. Probably people are gonna start wars over color coding, but right, for now this works. So I have to modify OSC in here now, right? I copied it over, so I still have all the drums stuff in here. So I'm just gonna go in here, and wherever it says drums, quickly put in 808. Oopsie. There we go. And then you'll see that this mute button actually mutes this green group over there, the 808 group. And I'll still got to do this for my solo button. Whoopa. There we go. That's my momentary solo for 808. And then let me just do this one more time. Perfect. And this time I'm going to control my synth group, make that maybe blue. Background panel, make it blue. And yeah, just go in here, put in synth wherever it says on all the OSCs that I'm accessing. And so once you've got this set up for like one specific group or one specific function that you want to do, if you kind of just go through and change the group name, it's actually really quick to set up something really elaborate like this. Okay, so let's check this out. Synth muted, right? 808 or bass guitar in this case, soloed. Drums soloed or synth soloed, right? So basically I can control my entire instrumental from here, which is awesome, right? Yeah, so this is kind of another cool use case for buttons and interfacing with the mixer. I'm just gonna go ahead and make these maybe a little bit smaller because of what I want to add next. Or actually, let me just respace these a little because I like the sizing of it. And obviously in an ideal scenario, this is kind of geared towards using this on a tablet, especially like with the momentary functions and stuff, and because of the other stuff that we're going to build now. Yeah, that kind of comes in really handy. By the way, the stuff that takes the longest time, we learned this while filming the tutorials, is actually making your canvas look good.
Yeah, moving stuff around, layouting.
I mean, there's a lot of helpful like auto alignment stuff, but just figuring out where you want things to be to make it look good and intuitive, like this, you know, it's not perfect, but we'll stick with it. Okay, right. So we're controlling our groups, but another thing that I actually also have is a master level group, right? So this is not controlling the separate group, but this stems master group track over here. Let me just make this a bit larger so it's not that much in the way. And for this, I don't want mute and solo buttons now, but I'd rather have actually a volume slider, like the one you saw Leo make for the click track, right? And we're going to use that same element preset just as a basis, because again, I showed you once you have the basic elements, you only need to swap out a few little things to actually change it to the function you want, right? So, sorry, maybe that was a bit quick while I was talking. So Command K to open the elements. I'm going to search for click track, volume slider, and this will appear right there. Let me just place this on the right, make it a little bit larger. Okay, then some visual customization. Obviously, I'd like this to control the master fader. And I don't really like this green color right now, but let me look at... Okay, so here's another cool thing that's kind of hidden. I remember when when we were filming this, Chris was in the room with me, and I had just figured this out by chance, and he was like, I really didn't know how to do that. So I wanted to make this fader white, but you can see you don't have a white option in here. But you can actually enable the dynamic field, where we used to enter the templates, and over there you see that the color is already written, so I can actually use this to just type out any color. And again, I'll get the autocomplete, right? So I just made it white over here, and that's how that master fader is turned white. So you have a lot more color. You can actually basically access all the color options that you have. Sorry, in templating, you can access them from here. Okay, to now actually modify this fader. Wait, let me first show you that. Obviously, this is controlling the click, right? My click volume is right here. So yeah, there we go. That's controlling the click track. I obviously want to change this to actually control my master fader, which is this gray one over there. So again, I'm going to go in and change the OSC. Where I have to do this now is within this over here where it says script on change. So the thing with sliders basically is that since they're a bit more complex, with a button you kind of get a press and a release, right? But a slider has a value, and you can do different things with it, which we're going to get into. This is automatically like tied to scripting. And that doesn't need to be complex. Like at the moment, this is just sending an OSC, just like the buttons we're doing. But you can do a lot more cool stuff with sliders due to scripting, right? For now, if you want to keep it really simple, again, you're just going to have to change out this group name. Right now, it's controlling the click, right? But I want to control the master. And you're going to see now, this is the master over there. I'm turning it up and I'm turning it down, right? There you go. Okay. So I can control my master fader from here now. I've got this slider that's going on. But one thing that I kind of want to avoid is turning up my master above 0, right? And the way that I can do this is by actually modifying what the maximum value of the slider is going to be. So if you look here, it says a minimum value of 0, that works, and a maximum value of 1. And so basically the slider is sending a value between 1 and 0 in increments of 0.01, right? The problem is that 1, so the maximum value relates to the maximum value of Ableton's volume slider, so that's 6, right? Plus 6 dB. But to actually have it be on 0, which is what I want, so unity gain, I'm going to have to put 0.85 in there. And now you'll see that if I turn this fader all the way up, the master fader kind of caps out at 0. So that's what we want. And now we have this master fader. One thing that you're going to notice, though, now, if you go into... wait, let me just show you these again, side by side. What I showed you with these buttons is that I get visual feedback, right? The problem now is that I don't have visual feedback for this right here, and that's because my master fader is still tied to the click, right? So if I move the click, that's moving, but that slider is actually controlling the master. So I kind of need to fix that. And where I can do that is back here in the settings. I've got this template over here, and this is actually linked to the slider's value, right? So this, we use templates basically as conditions before, but as we said, it can also, it's basically scripting, right? So it can also return any value back to you instead of just being a true or false OSC. So what this is saying is check the using OSC, check the volume that the click is currently at, and then apply it to my master fader. And that's basically how it's achieving visual feedback. Now, the problem that we obviously have is we don't want visual feedback for the click volume, but for our master volume. So if I enter master in there, you're going to see that once I put this side by side, now I've got visual feedback for my master and not my click, right? Okay, so I've now basically untied this master fader from the click slider that we started out on. Yeah, cool. So that's that. Let me just, reset that back to 0. Okay, so the next thing that I built in the tutorial, just a little backstory for that. I was working with an artist, and he had a DJ with this controller where he could basically what he wanted to do is cut out the master with the slider, right? But the problem was that he would then leave it turned down and press play and wonder why there's no sound coming out of it. So that actually, that was on a hardware controller, and back then I found a fix where you could program a light on the hardware controller that would blink if the fader is turned down. But the cool thing is, obviously with scripting and some fun templating, we can actually do some nice stuff to visualize this a bit better. So let me just go ahead and create a label field. And the idea was kind of to have like a little pop-up message that draws your attention if the slider is not turned up all the way. Like if you do a cut and you don't turn it all the way up, that kind of just draws your attention. So I wanted it to be this dynamic element that kind of just appears. And the way that I've achieved that is by basically checking whether the master fader is not at 0, and only if it's not at 0, I want this label to appear. So the way I would go ahead and do that is again type out a template. And this time I want to check a mixer value for my master. And I kind of want to check which volume it is at, right? And remember, I said, it's already being displayed here, at maximum, our fader is, our slider is at 0.85. So basically, I want to know whether this OSC value is below 0.85, right? And if that is the case, then I want this label to show me a little warning, right? So I want to say master not full or something like that. And then once again, this is the value if it's true, and this is if it's not true. And if I just leave this empty, this label basically just disappears, right? So once I turn this down, you see that that appears as soon as the master is not on full level. So that's how you can kind of achieve that. I think back in the tutorial, I also had this little exclamation mark to make it look more angry. Yeah, that works. Okay, so I've got this panel. If we go look at this now, okay, so that appears, but I kind of want to make it even more obvious, right? So let me click that. I can kind of copy this condition or this template to kind of have the basic same structure, but just change what's happening in these results right here. So right now, I want the background color to be red, or I want it to be empty if the master slide is fine, right? So if I turn it down, you'll see that it's red, and then it kind of just, it disappears as soon as I turn it up. And that way, this is a bit more obvious. I can get even more wild with this by even adding it to the text. There you go. That's my master slider warning, so to speak. Cool. Okay, so that's really hard to miss. That's a good thing. In the tutorial, I actually added, because I didn't want this space to be wasted if the master slider is turned up, I actually added a remaining song time element, which is cool and useful, I thought at first, but then I realized I have the remaining song time right here. And then I saw that Leo on the webpage actually has a really cool template for showing the expected set finish time. So I thought maybe that would be cool to just show that. So if you go to the AbleSet documentation, you'll find this little template over there for the set end time. And that'll actually show me that my set is about to end in, you know. Right, so if I start playback, this number will actually freeze. So it's telling me that we're expected to finish the set around 9:22. And I can go ahead now. That's obviously above my above the label that I just created. But I obviously, when the warning comes up, I don't want my remaining time to be there. So what I can do with these align and distribute buttons is just move that to the back. And then you can see it's gone. Where did I put it? Wait. So... yeah, I'm wondering why I'm not seeing that there. Leo, do you have an idea?
Maybe you could put the background color to transparent instead of the... I'm not...
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, just instead of an empty string, you could try transparent. Maybe that helps.
Yeah. Let me check. I've got this at the top. So let me move that. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Okay, let's go back to the remaining song time then. See whether that is a bit more successful. So I've got it on top. If I move it to the back, that's interesting.
Also gone. All right. Maybe you can use the button to the left of that, so you don't move it all the way to the back, but just move it a few layers back. Yeah, basically this one. Maybe that works. Just press it. On the
right, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Just a few times, maybe that works. If it doesn't, I'll take a look at that later.
I don't think the issue's on your end. It's probably in the templates right here. But check out the tutorial video; it worked there. So the concept, the idea was just to kind of show you this align and distribute, that you can also have things on top or behind each other, and that way get even more like make even more out of your screen real estate, so to speak. But let's move on. So we've got this cool little pop-up happening right here. One thing that I can also do, remember we had the momentary thing for solo buttons. I can do a similar thing with the slider to kind of just reset it once I let it go. So obviously we want to avoid this being turned down like this. So what I can do is trigger another script when releasing the slider, right? And what I want this script to do is set it back to the maximum value, so unity gain, or 0.85 as we checked before. And then, sorry, I don't think I mentioned this before, but in this send OSC script, this value basically means that whatever value the slider is at will be transmitted, right? We don't want this to say value down here. We want it to say a specific number, 0.85, because that's the number that corresponds to 0 dB, right? So now if I let it go, it'll just snap back, and even our little panel label warning, whatever, will disappear. And you'll see that if you check this, or we can actually have a listen, it just snaps back. So you can't leave it down. So again, on a touch device, you can imagine how this might be useful, right? Just snapping back where you want it to be. Right. Okay. So next thing, Leo, is there anything? Otherwise, I'm just gonna go into the.
Sounds good.
I'm just gonna
yeah.
drive through this.
Yeah.
The next thing that's really cool that we can do now, because we've been talking about OSC and stuff, is working with MIDI in the canvas. And one thing I can do, for instance, is I can send out MIDI to an external device or an external plugin. I did this by sending, or what I actually did is sending out MIDI to my Apollo, to my UAD Auto-Tune plugin, which is set up right here. And basically I want to control the dry wet mix of this plugin right there. And I can do this with MIDI, right? So let me go ahead and create a slider. Again, as I was saying, sliders can be really flexible with this kind of stuff. And then this time, the click track slider that we added earlier was a vertical one. Now we want to make this horizontal, right? So let's do that. And you also have a few different styling options. You can have it look like this, which basically is just the thumb, right? Where the slider's at, or you can have it looking like this bar kind of thing. For this slider, I like this one. So yep. Let me just use that over here. Maybe make that blue. Give me blue text as well. Okay, so now basically using scripting, I want to have this slider send out MIDI. And the basic function that we can do, again, without being too proficient with programming, is the send MIDI function. So we already have different options: send MIDI notes, PC, and what I'm going to use is MIDI CC, right? And essentially, this has again got quite a few good options as far as autocomplete goes. So if I start typing anything here now, it'll actually show me all my connected MIDI ports. So right now I'm going to use my IAC bus, which just loops the MIDI back to the UAD console. I've got it mapped to channel 16, and the CC value is 100, right? So I'm sending a CC message 102 on channel 16, but now I obviously have to also transmit a value for this slider. So again, as I was saying, basically the slider's value is just accessed by typing value, right? And now this slider will send out MIDI to my Auto-Tune plugin. Let me just show that to you. There we go. You see that mixed. I've got this Auto-Tune inserted on my voice, so this is going to sound fun for you guys. But that's the best way to show you that it's actually working, right? So there you can see that it's being turned up. Wait, let me switch on the check. There we go. Is that sounding auto-tuned? Yeah, it is. Woo! Okay, so I'm controlling the mix slider. let me turn that back off. I'm controlling the mix knob, but the problem that you're going to see is that it's not going all the way up to 100. And I'm already at the top of my slider here. So what I have to do is actually adapt the maximum value. Remember, we adapted these for our master volume slider as well. Over here, it says 0 and 100. If you know MIDI, then you're going to know that we need to be between 0 and 127, right? And now the slider is going to go all the way up to 100. Yeah! Sorry about that. Okay, but yeah, so if we're working with MIDI, then 0 and 127 is kind of what we want to be doing. Right. Now the next cool thing that we can do when it comes to sliders, Leo already talked about this, is working with variables, right? So the slider has its own value, and we can now go ahead and actually link that value to a variable, and then we can do some fun stuff with it using scripting. So a basic thing that I wanted to do with this slider is basically show this. So obviously I don't want to look at my auto-tune plugin all the time. So in my canvas, I just want to see a percentage between 0 and 100 to show me whether, what dry wet mix my auto-tune is at. So the way I can achieve this is by using this linked variable field right here. So I can now just come up with any name. I named this AT mix for auto-tune mix value, basically, right? And then this slider will actually, if I change it, be saved into this variable down here, into this local canvas variable. So you'll see that change is as I move the slider, and you'll see my voice get auto-tuned. Right. But the cool thing we can do now is actually use this in templating and in scripting, right? So a simple thing that I can do, once again, with a template, the way I access this value now, this is a local variable. So I would just access it by saying local, and then the name in parentheses. AT mix, right? So now I've already got this number right there, and it's going between 0 and 127. This is obviously because we set it to be 127 for our MIDI value. So obviously 127 works for our MIDI value, but for our percentage value, the 100 that we had before actually makes more sense. So we're going to have to kind of reconvert it back just for our display right now. So again, this is, I don't know if you guys are into maths, but we're gonna just divide this by 127, so we get a value between 0 and 1, and then I'm gonna multiply it by 100. Right, so that's a percentage, but obviously that's looking a little bit ugly, so what we want to do is actually round out this value. I can just do that with a JavaScript function called math.round. Again, you don't have to go super deep into this if you don't want to. There's a lot of documentation, and you can, basically figure out what functions you have access to. But it's most of the standard JavaScript ones, right, Leo?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. Right, so we've got a number between 0 and 100. Let me make this a bit more clear by adding % just after the template. So this part is actually calculating the number. This part is actually giving me the number, and that little % sign is just, for the display of it. And then maybe I can just add AT for auto-tune, and then I'm controlling the auto-tune mix, and I've got visual feedback. And that's where linked variables can be kind of cool. Right, okay, MIDI moving on with MIDI in the canvas. Let me create a button, but this time we've been working so much with buttons that send out OSC. Let me create a button that actually sends out MIDI. You might know where this is going. Let me remove that label. Let me add an icon, which was called speakerphone. Yeah, there we go. Let's use that one right there. Okay, so when we create a button, we've got the button type set to OSC as a default, right? And that's what we use for all of this stuff. And that's where you'll get, that's basically the quickest way to get you where you want to go with buttons. But if you use scripting, you can be a lot more flexible and a lot more advanced. So what you can do is choose between three options. I'm just going to go to script right here, and workflow is similar to what we have with sliders. So I'm just going to, again, go in and send MIDI. This time I want to send a MIDI note because I actually want to trigger a sound from this button, right? So I've got autocomplete. I want to send it again on the ISC bus, looping it back, this time to Ableton Live, on MIDI channel 10. And the note I want to send is note 36. And I've got this set up in Ableton to actually get looped into this drum rack over here, which says air horn. And now if I click this button, nothing is happening. Wait, maybe I disabled the ISC bus by mistake. There we go. And we got our air horn button right there. So that was just a little gag, I guess, of showing you guys how to actually send MIDI from buttons. And I mean, you can get really creative with what you want to do with this. You could use it to send out a specific program change to any device, or, you know, set a certain CC value of whatever, right? A keyboard. This is just a fun little use case to just have it as a, you know, trigger sounds. You could go crazy with this and create a soundboard in AbleSet. Yeah, do all kinds of things. Yeah, and then finally, one last thing I kind of want to just show you guys with buttons, because we looked at the option before, is this third option. It says link over here, and that's pretty simple at the end of the day. Let me just remove this icon so it's not confusing with our other stuff. And basically what I can do here is just link to another page within AbleSet. In the tutorial, what I had set up was just the lyrics page. So you'll see if I put lyrics in here, go into my canvas and press this button, I actually come to the lyrics page, right? But there's obviously a lot of different places you can go to. One tip that I kind of figured out for myself to, you know, discover different places where you can go is actually just navigate to where you want to go. For instance, another cool thing is I find myself with the new MIDI mapping stuff accessing the MIDI mapping quite often. So, right, I navigated to the MIDI mapping page now. If I now look at my URL bar, I need to copy everything behind this first slash, and then let me go back into the canvas, and then where it says link instead of lyrics, I'll just paste that. If I now go into the canvas, I click this button, I go straight to the MIDI settings. Right, so that's how you can actually use buttons to navigate within your AbleSet environment, or you could even come up with like a paging workflow between different canvases. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff, I would say.
I might want to add that you can also link outside of AbleSet, so any URL that you put in there would work. Like you could link to a YouTube video, or maybe that's not practical, but you could link to a web interface of your audio interface, for example, or a web interface of your rack mixer, for example. Yeah, cool. I didn't know that. I thought that only works with embeds, but that's really great. Okay, so yeah, basically not only AbleSet, but everything else. Yeah, so there you have it, guys. That's the canvas that I built in the video. I try to go in a lot more detail with this. I hope it cleared certain things up that we kind of rushed through in the video to kind of just make it concise. But yeah, so this is what's happening. I think we're gonna open it up to a few questions now, and if there are not too many questions, we've also prepared a few examples of different canvases and things you can do with scripting. But yeah, okay. I'm already seeing Chris saying a few questions in the chat. Chris is just forwarding us a few questions, so he's kind of moderating the chat for us. Shout out, Chris. Okay, so at the end of the day, the IAC setup. So there's a question about the IAC driver setup. To make it really simple and really easy, because this is kind of not really AbleSet territory, but what's happening is that the IAC driver, if you don't know it, it takes it takes MIDI. You can send MIDI to it, and it'll loop it back. So that way you can communicate MIDI between different applications, right? So right now I'm sending MIDI out of AbleSet into an app called UA MIDI Control, which is a really cool app.
which allows me to MIDI map certain parameters on my auto tune. So you can see I've got this CC102, which I'm using on the slider, mapped to this mix fader right there. Yeah, basically, since wait, let me turn that back off. That's how this setup is set up. So this MIDI coming out of AbleSet is being looped back through the IAC driver, which is on Mac only, but you can get apps for Windows if you're on Windows, and it's allowing me to MIDI control my auto-tune plugin, right? Yeah, let me know if that clears it up, since we don't want to go too deep into, I guess, other MIDI stuff, or maybe drop us a question on Instagram at Enable, and then we'll sort you out. Yeah. Okay. I think there was another comment about how I got the auto-tune key to display in the label. So someone was pretty attentive in the beginning there. So as I said, I've been messing around with the canvas quite a bit. Let me just see where my auto-tune plugin has landed. There it is. Okay. Yeah, window management's kind of weird with the UID console at the moment. Okay, so I guess what that question was referring to about the AutoTune's key display, I had another canvas set up earlier, just called AutoTune, right? And in there, right, so this is already going into, I guess, a bit more of the advanced stuff that we wanted to talk about with scripting. But essentially, I told you we can have visual feedback with buttons. And if we get into scripting and actually receive MIDI from certain apps or plugins like the AutoTune plugin, we can use scripting to reflect that on the canvas. And this is exactly what I'm doing here. So let me first demonstrate this and then give you a rough idea of what's happening here. So I've got this bypass button to actually set up to control the AutoTune bypass on my Apollo, and this is bidirectional, so if I bypass it there, it'll actually get displayed. And then I've set up something that, it's not working perfectly at the moment, but wait. I had it working for a second there. Right, okay, so there we go. This is actually, let me just bypass that again. Okay, so this is actually showing me the key that I'm in the current song, right? So you can see as my key adapts, as I kind of cycle through my presets, the key is being shown on a label field. Wait, this is all in C now. Let me just, yeah, okay. You'll see as I cycle through these presets, the key is basically adapting. And the idea behind this was to give me a visual feedback for my auto-tune while I'm on stage, and the auto-tune is off stage in the rack, so I can't have the visual interface, but with AbleSet on the network, I can just see whether the auto-tune is active, whether it's set to the correct key. I can show you what this looks like in scripting. I don't know if it makes sense, if it makes too much sense to dive into this, but I don't know, Leo, if that's maybe a topic we want to follow up on at a later stage. Because, again, this stuff is really, really cool and really powerful.
Yeah, maybe we can just take a quick peek at the script. Yeah, see what it looks like.
Let's take a quick peek. So let me just, because I've got some MIDI traffic from this thing. Let me just turn that off to make this less busy. I'll show you what that is in just a second. Okay, so at the end of the day, I've got an IAC driver, another IAC port set up, receiving MIDI feedback from the AutoTune plugin, right? And that's basically happening within here. So you'll see that if I click out of this, I'll show you the MIDI mapping right here. This little script here will light up whenever I change anything here. So if I change this, or if I change around the keys, it's basically receiving MIDI from the AutoTune plugin. And then I'm using this script, which I realize now could have been a bit more elegant, Leo. Don't criticize me for my coding.
No worries, all good.
I did another thing with an array where this is a lot more elegant. But at the end of the day, this key value is being translated between 0 and 127, right? And I kind of needed to figure out, okay, which numerical value relates to what key. And I've just, to keep it simple, stuck to major keys, right? So if the CC that I've got this map to is sending me the value 0, then that's a C. 12 is a D flat, and so on and so forth, right? So all I'm doing with this is I'm figuring out what the CC value is that this is sending, and then with coding, I'm setting this shared variable, which is number 1 key. So I've kind of figured this would be good for multiple auto-tune instances. So this is my first one, and I'm saving it into this variable called number 1 key, depending on what MIDI is coming back from there. And then back in the canvas, you're going to see, if I just make this a bit larger, I'm just in the label template, simply just accessing this key, right? So I'm saving it into a text field and just accessing it from there. And a similar thing is happening with my bypass. So I've got this checking. So MIDI CC12, you're going to see up here, is the key, and MIDI CC10 is the bypass button, right? And that's how the bypass is being read. So basically, if I want visual feedback for my bypass, I kind of need to have AbleSet react to this MIDI feedback command as it's doing right here. It's recognizing it's CC10, and then it's setting the shared variable called number 1 bypass to the value of what this is. So this will be either 0 or 127. If I open the log, you're going to see this go back and forth, right? Yeah, so that's how I'm accessing the bypass as well. And then again, using templating, using scripting in this right here. So yeah, I'm displaying bypassed if I receive a value 127. So if the button is bypassed, and the same thing is happening for the background color. I don't know why that says 50,000 there, but yeah.
Nice.
Maybe just like that. Yeah, cool. Okay. Okay, Leo, there's a question for you there, I think.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So someone asked, is there a way to do a fixed canvas for a multi-file project without having to copy paste? So this is actually, I think, pretty cool. So AbleSet in version 3 creates a kind of AbleSet project folder. I'll see if I can show it to you on my screen. 1 second. Let's just go here and then open the AbleSet folder. And this folder basically lives in your project folder, so whatever project that is, and that might also be a multi-file project. So the canvases aren't stored inside of the Ableton project file, but rather inside of this project folder, so AbleSet canvases, and this is just a folder containing each canvas. So you just have to create it once for your entire multi-file project, and it will work for all songs, basically. And if you want to copy your canvases, that might also be a good point while we're here. You can just take it, share it with someone, copy it into another project or something like that. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Sweet. Okay, I think the next question is both of us. How can you display metronome value in Canvas? I guess that probably relates to the tempo. Do you want to just kind of go through how one would do that with templating, Leo?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me just create a label. And in this label, we're going to access the OSC values again. So let's go here, OSC, and then type /. And let's just search for tempo. And there it is, global tempo. And you can see the value is 170, so we can just put that here, and I'll just add BPM after it. Let's give it a nice background color again. And there you go. So that's basically the tempo of the song. Let me just add a set list somewhere here. So when we switch between songs, you can see that the tempo changes. If that's what you meant, that's how you display the metronome value. There's also a visual metronome that you can display, which basically, when you start playback, let me see, like this, gives you a value or kind of a visual feedback on the metronome that you are hearing. All right. And I see someone asked for someone who's interested in learning and deep diving into scripting, what's a good resource or resources? You could start just on the ableset.com page and then in the scripting docs. Oh, that's not written right. Like this. This is just basically a quick start of how scripting works. And I just noticed that the formatting is off here a bit. I'll fix that later. But if you want to take a kind of deeper dive, you can check out the website of Mozilla, the developers of Firefox. They have a very nice guide, basically guiding you through the entirety of JavaScript. So they're going very in-depth. But also you can just search for things. So a while ago we used the date object, so we can just search for date. There we go, and then you see like all of the available functions and what they do and stuff like that. All right. Let's see what else do we have.
Cool.
You would like a
I think
forum
the next
page?
one was...
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
go
sorry. No, I didn't want to interrupt, sorry.
No, all right. That's always a bit weird when you have a bit of latency in a video call.
Yeah.
So someone asked if there's a forum page to share canvases and scripting templates, and there's actually a category for that now. So if you go to the forum page, there's a canvases page, and I already uploaded the canvas I made for the AbleSet 3 intro. So you can just download it here, paste it into your canvases folder, and you're good to go. And maybe we can just add the canvas that you built, Karan. We can just add it there as well, and then people can download it and just play around with it.
Yeah. I saw there was a question about control pack. I'm guessing that's from Jon. But at the end of the, I had to hook up. I don't have a DAD interface here right now, but I just hooked up my Play Audio 12 that I had flying around in the studio. At the end of the day, what I can do in the canvas is I can show my audio interfaces section, right? And this is obviously showing the Play Audio 12 right now, but this would adapt to if I had a DAD interface connected, right? This would adapt to what I'm seeing here. And again, if I want to go into templating, I can access the OSC for my audio interface status, and then, even get the names of it. And I don't know exactly, because I haven't tried it out yet, how specific addressing is handled, but I'm sure Leo has figured out a good solution for it.
I actually have a Quadron 56 hooked up at the moment, so I'm just going to share my screen.
Sorry.
So no, it's all good.
You go ahead.
So this is what it looks like basically, but it's the same. It's the same element. So it's the audio interfaces element, which, by the way, if you have multiple connected, you can see them side by side, and you can also choose basically which ones you want to see, or if you just want to see all connected audio interfaces.
Awesome. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Yeah, but I guess, there's a few questions. Let me just see. Segueing from that, I actually also using that, had built a button in another canvas that I made that just shows me a main or backup status, hidden away. Which, again, I don't think I'm going to be able to... Oh, maybe I'm going to be able to access it right now. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I built this canvas as well, just with measures for a production that I was working on, and just showing a few basic things that you could do. And then I just built this little button up here that actually... no, I've set that up. I haven't set that up correctly, but it basically is, if I toggle my Play Audio right here, it's doing the visual feedback for my interface, and I could also set this button up to toggle the state that I'm in. Yeah. Cool. Let's go through some more of the questions.
Yes.
Did you already cover the one on deep diving into scripting? Sorry, I was kind of...
Yeah, exactly. So that was the one with the Mozilla page, basically.
Right.
We could cover the question whether it's possible to automate Canvas and Mixer via companion buttons. So I can see if I can just launch companion for a second. There we go. Let's launch the GUI. Oh, there's a new version available. I don't have that yet. So the mixer stuff is already, you can already basically put that into companion. And if you want to get started, I will just go to presets, AbleSet, and then to playback. I think it's there. Yes. And you have a solo click button and a mute click button. And since the click track is basically just a mixer group, you can switch out the name. So in this case, it's click, and I want to see if it's muted, or basically when I click on it, I want to toggle the mute, but you could also toggle soloing or stuff like that. So let me see if I can get Ableton here. So I have another track group called tracks. So I could just change this one to tracks, and then feedbacks also to tracks. So feedbacks is basically what we did with the background color in Canvas, but it's a bit more simplified. Or so basically you can do things like, if the track group is muted, change out the background color for a red color. So now if I click this button, it mutes the tracks group and turns red. So the whole red thing here is just because I'm pressing Shift to click buttons, but I can also how did that work? I'm not sure. I think there was a way to open there we go, interactive buttons. Oh, and there's an error. No, there we go. Now I can click it, and so you can basically control the state of track groups with that. And if you want to control the canvas, that's not like trivial. Like, there's no pre-made actions to control things in the canvas. But as you already saw Karan show, you can set shared variables using OSC. So what I could do is I could remove, or I'll just delete this button again. I'll create a new button, and when you press it, you can basically choose AbleSet and then send OSC commands. And this allows you to enter a string of OSC commands, basically like you would do in AbleSet. So you could do things like shared, message, and then set that to hi there. There we go. I'm just going to click on it, and that would then be accessible in the canvas. So if we create a label, we can access it using the global function. I think we called it message. So it wasn't global, it was shared. Sorry about that. There we go. And this is now basically being sent from companion. Right, what else do we have? Is there a page with all AbleSet syntax and commands and notation in one place? So there is a page on the AbleSet documentation that is called OSC. And this lists basically all commands that are available to send via OSC, and also the other way around. So basically, you can send messages, but also, as we saw earlier, we can access values. These are documented down here. Let me just check. There we go. And here you see a list of all values that AbleSet exposes. And if you want a reference on the scripting available functions, we can just go to that page and scroll down to available functions. And here's a list of all available functions. All right. The next question might be for you, Karan, or it might be something that you can take a look at. Could you show how to set up autotune redundancy using AbleSet? Is this setup possible? Oh, that was because of the this Core 256 thing. So basically, the Core 256 allows you to set up multiple redundant groups of audio, if you can call it that, which is just dynamic routing based on the state of tracks. I don't want to get too deep into it, and this one was just oh, that's not what I wanted to do. This one is just this is all live. And this is just for show, like there's nothing happening behind it. But you could, if you wanted to, set it up to route audio from two autotune interfaces like the Apollo interfaces, and automatically switch if one of them goes down. All right. Do we see any more questions?
Let us know if that clears it up about the auto-tune redundancy. Yeah, because there's a lot of things about this. So there's redundant audio switching, right? There's redundant control of auto-tune. Right, so yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I see that a drum set Dan said, how about basic AbleSet syntax like groups and stuff like that, for example? There's a page for that as well. Let me just share my screen again. There we go. So if we go into the documentation, that's this page, the AbleSet locator notation. And that shows you how section locators work, the locator descriptions, things like the, where is it? Should be somewhere here. Transitions. Ah, there we go. Automatic jumps, stuff like that. Is this what you meant, drum set Dan? I'll just wait for there's a little latency with the stream. So.
Yeah. we have Chris showing us around.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's good. We'll keep the questions coming. Maybe we're gonna just show a few more things otherwise.
Sounds good.
If you want.
Yeah, sure.
I had a few things in mind that I kind of or I prepared, I guess, in a sense.
Should I show the timer, the countdown?
Yeah,
that might be a good one.
Sure.
Because
that's a good one.
Now the canvas is quite crowded. Let me just remove some stuff.
Yeah.
Or let's maybe even start with a simpler one, because that's one that I can build fairly easily. So we already have this text field that we created when I talked about local variables. And one of the things that might be interesting for a playback engineer, for example, would be to be able to communicate with band members on stage, to send them messages, basically. And you can do that with scripting. So now here we have a text field. We can also give it a placeholder, might be nice. Let's create a button. So anything we put into this text field is automatically stored in the local variable message, because we linked it here. Let's set this button type to script, and let's call it send. So whenever this button is pressed, we want to send an OSC message, which is called notify big. We want to send that to all devices, and the message would be the local variable message. There you go. You can add a semicolon. I tend to do that, but you don't have to, actually. And now if I go in here and I say hi there. Oh, there's an H missing. There we go. And I click it, you'll see a big message appear on the screen. So this might be interesting if you want to grab the attention of, I don't know, your singer or your drummer or whatever. You can tag devices, or you can give them names, basically. So if we go into the OSC settings, you can give devices names and also multiple ones. So I could call this device playback, but also side stage or something like that. So now I could either send a message to playback, which would show that message on the screen, but I could also send it to side stage, which would also then show it on the screen. And so basically you can use different devices, give them different names and tags, basically, and send messages to them. So I could do playback instead, and that would still work. So hi and send. There's also another, like, just a little feature that I like, which is also cool for getting the attention of band members, which is called, what's it called again? Now I have to check the OSC documentation myself. 1 second. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. It's just called notify queue. There might not be autocomplete for it yet. I'll have to add that later. But basically what you can do is you can put a colored border around the screen of specific devices. So I can just do it like this, and then you see like a queue light appear around that part. So yeah, if you want to grab someone's attention, you can do it like that. Let's do a fun one. Let's just sleep for like 200 milliseconds, or this basically says we want to wait 200 milliseconds before doing the next command. And then I'll do the same again with red. And then let's sleep again. And then let's put it to green again. And there we go. And now if we press this, oh, nothing happens. Was it the right one? Okay, this I'll have to take a look at. lot of trial and error. Yes, this is all like, yeah, exactly.
But that's why it's fun once you get it to work.
Yes, it should be fun. Okay, so now for the example that I actually wanted to be, or that I actually wanted to show, that's a timer, which could be very nice for, just having an overview of how much time you have left in the set, or you have left on stage before you get kicked off. So this one also works with a shared variable. And basically, I use these buttons to set an end timestamp. So, for example, if I press this button, let's start with a simple example, this one. When I press this button, I will set the timer end variable to the current timestamp, plus, and that is basically 10 minutes times 60 to get it into seconds, times 1000 to get it into milliseconds. So if I press this button, I now have a timer that counts down from 10 minutes. Same thing goes for 45 minutes. Now we have a 45 minutes timer. Or we can also set the timer to a fixed time. So 10 p.m. might be a good time. You can just press it. And basically this creates a new date, sets it to 22 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, 0 milliseconds, and then puts that into the timer end variable. Adding a minute works similarly, so we just basically, if there's already a timer running, we take that value of the end and we add 5 minutes, or in this with this button we can subtract 5 minutes. So when we click this, we can add minutes or subtract them. Might be interesting to have that. And the cool thing about shared variables, again, this thing I forgot. If we were to just display the timer end, that wouldn't look nice. So what we do to get the remaining time, we subtract the current time. So now we have basically the current time or that the remaining duration in milliseconds. We can now take that and divide it by 1000 to get seconds. And then there's a built-in function in AbleSet that's called format duration, which makes it look nice. So it gives you a nice formatted duration in hours, minutes, and seconds, if available. That's one of the examples I had prepared here.
Cool. Awesome. There's a question about editing the canvas on iPad if there's no option in the top right corner. So probably or potentially what has happened there is that the show, edit, and close buttons are hidden. So if you remember at the start of the stream, Leo showed you these buttons at the top here.
Wait 1 second. I'll show you a screen.
Yeah, no worries.
There you go.
Okay, so if you're in the edit mode of the canvas, you have this button, right? Show, edit, and close. And if this is toggled off, then they won't be available unless you press Command. Obviously, that's going to be tricky on an iPad. I've got this on my iPad right here. I can't share the iPad right now, but if you want to get out of this, what I would do is just go up to your URL bar, and then just go back to your setlist page. Like just put in your host address, or like your normal setlist page, and then from there you can kind of go where you need to go, I'd say. Yeah. So that's I guess the easiest way to do that, Leo. And I guess that's exactly the point, that it's not as accessible, right? But just if you want to access it and you're having problems accessing it, what you're going to want to do is, if you go back to that canvas, and then in the URL bar, let me see if I can type that. If at the end of the URL you go in and you type /edit, then you'll actually be in the editing view and you'll have access to the show, edit, and close buttons from there. I hope that makes sense. Right. So if at the end of the URL you just add / and edit, you'll come into the editing view where you can toggle it on and off on the iPad, or just access it from another computer, and make sure those buttons are back.
Cool.
Sweet. Let's see what other questions there are. Cool, Leo. I think there's one related to where AbleSet might be going in the future. So I guess that's geared towards you.
Yes. Yeah. I just want to address a quick one before that about not being able to press play or choosing sections on someone's phone.
Oh, yeah.
It might just be that you have a password set on the web app, or that the app is locked. So if you take a look at the set list, 1 second. I'm just going to show my screen again. There's a little lock icon down there. It just might be locked. So if it's locked, you can't jump anywhere. You can't use the app, basically. You can just see the status. And to use the app, just unlock it. And that should work. And in terms of the end goal, that's a tough question. There's still lots of features that I would love to implement, and just like thanks to all of the support and feedback, and just the comments I get from people like you all, I get so much inspiration of what can be done next. So I have a few ideas in mind for the next versions of AbleSet, I think. Not just for the app itself, but also for tools around it. I want to make the lyrics page a bit more advanced. I want to make it a bit easier to change the styling of lyrics, because currently you have to go into the title of the track, and Ableton doesn't allow you to make the thing wide enough to see the entire title of all tracks. And, if you add too many styling attributes, it gets very messy very quickly. So yeah, adding some UI for that might be nice. And yeah, it's just a work in progress. I think as long as I get feedback, I will be able to add new features. And I hope basically that the canvas already covers a lot of use cases, because that's what the performance view was meant to be. But I noticed after a while, like, there are so many different use cases for the performance view. Like, of course, you can customize it. You can add elements, you can remove elements, but it's not possible to make everyone happy with this one feature. That's why the canvas basically started to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it like, I think we saw with the examples that we showed, it's just really different from performance view in a way, I feel like, especially like, since you can, I guess that's the main difference. You can make it super minimal. Like, you could do that with performance view as well, but you can literally isolate one function. Like, I could give my drummer the ability to mute or unmute the drums from the backing track because the SPSX has gone down or whatever, right? So it's that kind of flexibility, and then obviously interfacing with OSC and MIDI with other stuff, right? I guess like we went through, and that was another thing that I found pretty cool, is accessing stuff that like maybe is very specific to you, right? That other people don't need. Like I like to often toggle on and off safe mode, so I built a button for that using OSC. I've had different options to, or actually one cool one that I did with scripting is actually the count in feature. So actually cycling through count in options. Wait, I can pull that up if you want, Leo, just to give you a quick
second.
Yeah.
Show your screen. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So like, for instance, buttons, usually you think of buttons being A or B, right, on or off, but you can obviously also use them to cycle through stuff. So with scripting in the project script, I've got this button to set the count in on or off, but it's actually got 3 steps. So it's either 2 bars, off, or 1 bar. And if I just click it, it just cycles through them. And that's the kind of stuff that's really cool. Like, if I just demonstrate this right now, count in is off, so I'm going right to the chorus. If it's on, then I'm going back. Oh wait, that's a bad place to show it. Okay, so here's a 1 bar count in, and if I click that again, that's a 2 bar count in. And I don't have to go into the settings for this. This is something that I use a lot, depending on the rehearsal situation that we're kind of in. And then also dynamic jumping, whether I want it or not, I can just toggle safe mode on or off. So it's really about having a lot of flexibility and also taking away the stuff that you don't need, right? For instance, I'd have another, I had another one built that was mainly focused on showing sheets, right? For an orchestral production, and that looked like this. So what I wanted front and center is to have just my sheets, but I was also having to look at the auto-tune on the side here. I wanted to see if safe mode is on. Then I built this little kind of section progress on the side here. But the main thing I wanted to do is basically navigate through different pages in the lyrics, right? In the lyrics images. And then I've also got different measures set up, which are not being displayed there right now because I've got them on the wrong track, but you get the idea. So yeah, I can kind of do a lot of stuff with that. That's really specific to just the use case you're currently on, right? So that's I think where Canvas really makes a difference for me, I guess. Okay, I've got measures now, right? It's because you're talking in measures, and they're synced up with what I'm seeing here. I can go backwards and forwards by a bar, like you showed before, Leo, which for a use case like this, doing something like this with AbleSet 2 was definitely not as easy, or was a lot more going back and forth between pages. So it's really awesome.
Cool. Yeah, that's a really, really nice canvas.
It's also a bit messy, but that's how I work.
All right. Someone asked if it's possible to make a button trigger an audio clip from session view when it is MIDI mapped in Ableton. I think, yeah, that should be possible. You just send MIDI out of the canvas and into into Ableton using an IAC bus, and then you can trigger stuff with it. Yeah.
For sure. Are there other questions? Otherwise, I'm just going to build that now.
Cool.
Really quickly.
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's show
okay,
us.
So I've got session view pulled up right there. So let me just activate the remote on my IAC bus. And then, wait, let me just see that it's disabled. Otherwise, this will crash in just a second. That I'm not looping back. Okay, so yeah, I can just simply go in and say clip trigger, right? And then put in a script. And then usually I would probably map this to a MIDI note. Just put that on the IC bus 1 on channel 1, whatever, and then I'm just going to choose any note whatsoever, velocity 100, right. So yeah, I've mapped this or built this button to send out a MIDI note on the IAC driver, and hopefully, so I've gone into MIDI mapping now. If I go back in, yeah, that's been mapped right there. Now this is not going to be. Oh, this is going to be interesting because this is actually an OSC message. Yeah, wait. Yeah, I mean, you can see that that's been triggered right there. Obviously, I don't have audio on that right now. But yeah, so essentially, you can do everything you can do with MIDI. Essentially, you can build a touch MIDI controller if you wanted to.
One thing I would like to add to the send MIDI function, if you go to the clip trigger button again, instead of a number like 50, you can also just send a string, like you can send C1 or C#1 or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So that's a bit more musical than 50.
For sure. I didn't know that. See, there we go. C1, yeah, there we go. We got C1 mapped there. It's also cool that because sometimes they're not aligned, sometimes you send C1 out of one thing and it comes out as C2 on another app, and I hate that. So I appreciate you for getting this at least matched to Ableton, which is obviously what we're working on most of the time.
Exactly, yeah, that's what I matched it with. I don't think there's like a standard on what C1 is, so it's a bit difficult to match it to every app.
Yeah. I just got a question whether I can share the Sheets canvas. I can definitely share the Sheets canvas. I'll probably have to take out whatever is artist specific to that. So you'll have to put in your own sheets because I can't, because that's not my material to give away. But if you want the canvas, I can kind of clean up the stuff that I cannot show or release and just, show you what's happening there.
Cool. All right. Are there any more questions? Anything that we can cover? Anything we can talk about? I think in terms of canvas, we do you have any more examples or anything you would like to show?
I have an example. I have a funky one that I can show. I've actually switched to the YouTube, and I can see that we're quite far behind on YouTube. So I'm just trying to see if we can see if there's new questions that come in. Mm-hmm. Cool. No, Chris has already written any further questions. Okay, yeah. So this one got a bit weird, but it's fun. At the end of the day, okay, so we already looked at this. Obviously, with the count in, that's really useful. This next one is really specific. So I play live with an artist where honestly that's the only setup that I hadn't switched to AbleSet up until now, because I had like another setlist management solution. And the reason I didn't switch it to AbleSet, I told this to Leo before, is that it's a super minimal setup, and I've got my guitar. I play guitar and I play bass, and I've got it looped into Ableton, and I'm tuning through Ableton. So I've got a tuner loaded up in Ableton, and let me just do that on this channel as well. Oops. Oh, wait. I'm doing the dual screen thing with Ableton. Doesn't always go well. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so I would actually tune in Ableton itself, right? I don't have a pedal tuner because I only have a MIDI pedal, and all my preset switching is basically happening through MIDI. So I don't need any foot control of my Helix. So I just need to tune, right? And I didn't want to use a clip tuner. I didn't want any extra pedals, any extra audio cable runs. So what I would do up until now is actually literally hook up my guitar into Ableton and tune it from there, right? Like this, obviously. But I actually around the holidays I got a bit busy or bored, whichever you want to call it, and I built a little Max for Live device that analyzes the key of the string and just translates it to so it analyzes the note, but it also analyzes the sense, and it translates it to MIDI CC, and then with a lot of scripting, or wait, let me show you what's happening in the script right there. And this is the script where I probably did a better job of making it a bit cleaner. Right. Okay, I used an array for the notes. Okay, so at the end of the day, this script is receiving MIDI from this AbleSet tuner right here. You're going to see if I turn that on, that glows as soon as I play a note. And then in a canvas, I've actually used or you'd probably say misused a slider to give me a tuner.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's a bit shaky, but it was just a fun project. But this is literally just a slider, which is receiving a note from Ableton literally as a MIDI note message, and then just saving that into this variable. That's what shows up on the slider. Like if that's the note value right there, or the note name rather, and then the value of the slider is blinked to sense. So yeah, I wanted to build it so that it. I actually built it so that it resets to the middle. I realized that just now. Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely a funky one, and but I guess another testament to showing how much customization you can get with this.
That's an amazing example. Yeah. Of and I think there's no misuse of elements as long as it works.
That's the point. Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Exactly. Nice.
Yeah, let me just scroll down, but I think
we got a question. Any update of the LeoBox integration? I sent them an email a while ago, but I haven't heard back from them. So if they're up for it, I would love to integrate it into AbleSet. But if they're not, then it's not going to happen, I think. But yeah, if they reply, then I would love to collaborate.
Cool. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just going to do a quick drop-in into YouTube, but I think we've done some cool stuff already. I mean, I actually didn't show the scripting part of the canvas that we built earlier. I can go into that just for the sake of...
Sure, yeah.
just quickly. So what I was showing in the canvas tutorial video is that I added, like, you can do more stuff with the canvas if you add scripting to it. One thing that I was talking about was getting MIDI feedback, like we already talked about, from the UAD plugin. So you'll see that the mix is at 0% right now. If I turn it up, I get visual feedback, and you guys hear my auto-tune again, right? So this is, again, visual feedback through MIDI being reflected on the canvas, and this is with the help of scripting, once more. I can quickly show you what that looks like, because that's probably the simplest of them all. Yeah, so that's just being saved. So I'm just saving the MIDI into a variable and then accessing it in the value. And yeah, so it's just these two basically. And then it's all about receiving that MIDI and converting it. Another thing that I actually built just now while you were showing something else is, so we built the next button to be adaptive, right? To show stop when it's at the end. I kind of did another version where it just cycles through. So if I'm at the last song, it says BTT, which is for back to top. So it'll go back to the first song. So you can kind of you can play forever. And then one thing that I showed in the tutorial video was double pressing, like to kind of safeguard you from accidentally stopping. So I've got that set up here as well, right? I press play. Wait, I'll show you why that's being an issue right now. Okay, I already gave that away. But okay, so at the end of the day, I have to double click to stop, right? So you see, if I press once, nothing happens. It tells me I need to double press for a stop. Again, so only if I press it double, it'll actually stop. So that was what we already showed in the video. But another thing that I built is, because sometimes it's like, I never know whether I should use a play stop button or a play pause button in the canvas. And so I thought, let's try if I can make both work. So what I built here is essentially, if I keep this button pressed, so let me press play. It's now a stop button. If I keep it pressed, or just to repeat, if I press stop and press play again, the song will be started from the top, right? Like this. But what I built into this button is, now if I hold it down, it'll actually turn into a pause button. So if I now double click the pause button, if I now press play again, it won't go back to the start of this song. It'll actually continue playing from where I left off. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that, again, goes back to showing you what you can do with being flexible with Canvas and scripting, and yeah, just getting advanced stuff done. And having multi-layers in buttons like this, right? Yeah.
That's also really cool. Maybe you can show the script that's behind that, just so we have that for reference.
Sure. It's messy, and it's probably got a few bugs in it, but so essentially to make it work, I had to cheat the actual play stuff to the release of the button. And there's some stuff happening here where I'm making sure that notification doesn't pop up too often, or that it doesn't show up on every press. But essentially, again, if you'll check the tutorial video, what's happening here is it's checking whether the button was pressed twice within half a second. And if that's the case, only then the stop message will be triggered. And this is happening on the release of the button. And the way I've achieved that kind of hold down feature is I don't know if this is the best way to do it, Leo. I was telling you earlier about this, but at the end of the day, once I press the button, I'm using a local variable to press it. I'm setting a local variable to a value, and then waiting a second. And if that variable is still at this one value that I set it at, then all of this stuff will be executed. And this stuff basically toggles the mode between play and pause, between stop and pause, right? And the way that works is, if I let go of the button within 1 second, then on the release, it'll actually reset that variable back to 0. And then this hold action will not be triggered. So that's kind of the trick I used. One thing that I can show with this that's probably pretty cool is the use of local variables. So I've got this on my iPad as well, right? And over here, wait, yeah. So I don't know, Leo, if that's visible, but I'll make it visible in the video. So at the end of the day, because it'll be good if we can see both my screen and the iPad.
Yeah. 1 second.
If it's probably pretty badly and not in focus. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to show here is, because this variable is local. So the button state, whether it's pausing or stopping, is a local variable. It can be different on my computer and different on my iPad, right? So if I press play on my computer, you'll see that it's a pause button on the screen sharing. If you look closely to the iPad, I've got the stop button, right? And now I can toggle
1, 2, 3, 4
it to a pause button just on the iPad. It doesn't change what it's doing on the computer. And back to the stop button. And that way I can basically have different stop and pause behaviors for different people on stage, or different setups on stage, which is thanks to local variables.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And just one thing that I wanted to add as well. If you want to send a toast notification just to your own device, basically, there's a variable that is called, I think it's called this device, that you can use instead of all, that just targets the current device. So when you get a toast notification that's like, you have to double press this button, then that's something you might only want to see on your current device. So in that case, you could use this device variable.
You mean in here, right? Where it says all.
Yeah. And it's not. Is
it like this, or?
It's not a string. I think it's just a variable. Like you just exactly. And device might be, the D might be uppercase, I think.
Device.
Yeah.
Cool.
That looks good.
Exactly. Oh, okay.
So now you only see it on the.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not seeing it on the iPad.
Exactly.
Perfect. I was wondering about that because I saw that in OSC, it's this hyphen device, right? If you just send an OSC, and I didn't know whether there was a variable for this, but this is awesome. Yeah, this is what I need. Cool.
Nice. All right.
Perfect.
Cool. There's one question. I'm still quite new to scripting, and I was wondering whether using many custom scripts could potentially affect AbleSet stability. Luckily, it won't affect AbleSet's like the stability of the set list and the things like automatic jumping between songs and the loop and stuff like that. So the scripts all run separately. Most of the Canvas scripts, for example, they run inside of your browser. So the worst thing that can happen is you crash your browser and you have to reload the page. And the scripts that run on your host computer, so basically stuff like the MIDI script or the project script, we didn't go into that yet, that runs in a separate program, basically. So if that crashes, AbleSet just restarts your script and continues working as it does normally. So don't worry too much about it. If you break something within your own script, you won't break the rest of the playback.
I've been experimenting a lot, and I did a lot of weird stuff, and AbleSet has not been affected by it, luckily. So, which is really cool, by the way, Leo, is you just knowing what the priorities are. I mean, people could argue that this is potentially taking it too far and making it too. This is just a gimmick of sorts. I could see people saying that, but I honestly don't think so. And especially because you've treated it professionally, that it is basically not touching any of the playback stuff. That's, I guess, all happening in the Ableton remote script, and then you're doing everything separately and safely within AbleSet. And that way, giving people like me who are programming noobs just a fun playground is cool. It's good.
Yeah, and that's what I would encourage everyone to do as well. Like, just play around with it, make stuff break, fix stuff again, and see what works, see what doesn't. Have fun.
Cool. I think I'm just gonna, for the sake of safety, just go back into the stream on YouTube here
Yeah,
and see whether there's any comments that just came in. And then no, I think that wraps it up. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Leo, thanks for building this.
Thank you. Yes.
It's been a fun 2.5 hours. I could go on. But
oh yes.
I think the people hopefully now have enough stuff to play around with. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for hanging around with us from wherever you guys tuned in. And if you have any more questions, drop them to us on Instagram, I guess, or on the videos. I think Leo is very active in the comments. Chris already said, I think Chris already told you about it in the comment section or in the description. If you want to follow us and everything we do at Enable, more like whatever, more playback and hardware focused, and also going deeper into different use cases for Ableton Live and like creative use cases for it. There's some links there. I think Chris has also put up some goodies for everyone who joined the stream. So you'll find a page there where we've got our little like click track rack linked. We've got some goodies for you to use. Cues with my voice if you want that kind of thing. Verse 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just as thank you for hanging around with us. Yeah, Leo, thanks so much for having us on this entire project, and it's been good. Yeah, likewise. All right, then thanks everyone for being here, and I think that wraps it up nicely. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'll be happy to take a look. All right. See you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.